Rim job. Is it Rimworld. Is it worth a buy? Let's read the words of the developer. A sci-fi colony sim driven by an intelligent AI storyteller, inspired by Dwarf Fortress and Firefly. Generates stories by simulating psychology, ecology, gunplay, melee combat, climate, biomes, diplomacy, interpersonal relationships, art, medicine, trade, and more. So what is Rimworld then? Well, you have crash landed on a planet with your fellow Rimmers and Mac. And you have got to survive. Well, actually, the object of the game is not only do you have to survive, but you have to build a spaceship to get the off the planet. I want to start by saying that I played this and I forgot I'd played it until I started playing it again just in the last day. I remembered that I played this quite a lot before it came onto Steam in Alpha 10 or 9 it was, I can't remember, a long time ago. I don't know why I didn't do a Worthabuy on it back then, I really don't, but I did play it quite a lot, and as I started to play it again yesterday, I realised that, I know how to play this game, and I was just away with it. So I haven't got a lot to show you because obviously all my saved games don't work anymore with the new version of Rimworld that came out yesterday. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you what the game's about, but I won't have a lot of video to show you for this. But that doesn't really matter because you kind of want to know, is it worth paying the price, which is £22, guys. It is not cheap for an early access game. £23 actually, it's $22.99. So let's start by the options. Now the options for gameplay are just amazing. The game works, like I've already said, by this storyteller. Now what that does essentially is it controls what happens to you, and you can choose different storytellers. They're just like difficulty levels really, and there's like a free play mode as well. Not only can you edit that side of things, which is really cool, but you can then dig down deeper into the specifics of the game setup. For example, you can set where you start. You have to. You can set a random key to generate a world, then you decide whereabouts in that world you want to be. A good way to start is where you can grow your crops all the year around. You want trees, you want rocks, so a forest near mountains is also a good choice because you've got to harvest all of these things to survive. It's a brutal game, this. So you have to give yourself a decent start if you're new to it. On top of that, you'll be generally given 3, depending on how you select the game, you'll be given 3 people to control, but you can edit that as well and give yourself more than that if you want. You can also edit how much resources you've got from your crash site, so you can bump all that up if you want to give yourself that extra head start. I don't really think you need to because the game is it is hard. There's a lot to think about when you're playing it, but you know, once you've played a few games like this, and you will have, because there's a lot of games like this out there, it all kind of works the same. The difference with Rimworld compared to other games is Rimworld is way more deep. I mean, right down to the moods of the different characters interacting with each other, having sex with each other, forming relationships. They don't even like to go to sleep if the fucking room's cold, so you have to put heaters in there. You've got to do everything. You've got to monitor their moods constantly to make it's a bit like The Sims in that sense, where you're watching what pisses them off. I don't like sleeping in the same room as him. He pisses me off. Alright, we'll get you a new room then. And so on and so forth. That's how the game works. Choosing your crew is very important because each person is different. You have people that are ill, sick, some people are healthy, some people are good with guns, some people aren't, some are lazy, some are arrogant, some are trigger happy. You don't want to give the trigger happy people a gun in case they get fucking moody and blow everybody away. Then it'll be America. You have to be careful. You can randomize by selecting, just keep spamming the random button, and you can select the different characters, and if you don't like one, just hit random. And it'll give you a new set of traits, abilities, illnesses, and all the rest of it. So you just keep doing that till you're happy with the 3 or 4 or however many people that you're going to have to start the game. When you get into the game, then it pretty much becomes a survival game. Yes, you're going to have to chop the trees, you're going to have to mine the ore, you're going to have to mine the rocks, you're going to have to mine the steel, you're going to have to build components, you're going to have to craft benches, you're going to have to hunt animals, you're going to have to build buildings, which is going to need beds, which is going to need power, which is going to need lighting. It's basically Prison Architect, Dwarf Fortress as well. It's very, very similar to Prison Architect in the way you construct things and set things up. In fact, it's identical to Prison Architect. If you've played Prison Architect, then it's that in a survival world. And the world is very dangerous. Not only is it inhabited by all kinds of wildlife that will rip your face off. I even got attacked off a killer rabbit yesterday. There was like, the storyteller said, there is a rabbit that has gone AWOL and crazed. It is heading for you. And I tracked down this fucking rabbit who was charging headlong into the base. And at first I was like, what? Fucking rabbit? What's a rabbit going to do? Until it then started trying to batter down the fucking door. So I got everybody indoors and we only have one guy with a gun. He's called Trigger, he's a sergeant, probably American. And he had to shoot the rabbit, which we then enjoyed for tea, which was very nice. In order to survive the world, which has other factions, has tribes of natives, some are friendly, some are hostile, and the storyteller might just suddenly decide to raid your camp and send a raiding party in to steal your shit and murder everybody. So you have to be prepared, and you can do that by setting up different traps. As the game progresses, you can get turrets and all kinds of stuff, build more weapons, arm all your team. You can set up like a little bit of a drill, a militia, you know, a little like group of yous that are all psychos, and they'll defend. You'll also have people who won't ever pick up a gun and won't ever fight back. They're just complete pacifists. People who are incapable of violence, and you know, but they might be good at researching stuff. They might be good at cooking, and you have to be careful that you do have a cook. A cook. You gotta have cooks, right? That read cook books. You need people who can plough the land and sow seeds and gather the crops, and you need crafters to build things. It's in depth, it's very, very in depth, and relationships will start building between your people. Also, new people will come and join your group, and so your group expands. You start trading with the local tribes. Guys, what I'm trying to say is it's very, very deep, this game, and the world is really good. It's really big, and every game is different. I mean, I've played, I think, 5 different new start games with this, and every one has been different. None of them have been the same, but it's $22.99 and it is an early access game. But what you have to understand with this is it might still be an early access, but it isn't an early access game. It doesn't feel like an early access game. The bugs, a lot of them have been ironed out. It plays well. It's got a massive amount of game in there. You will get your money's worth out of this. I mean, it says I've probably played 2 hours on Steam, but in all I've probably hit about 20 hours, and I'm still nowhere near sick of it. In fact, I'm looking forward to playing it again, but I've got such a busy week this week that I've had to get this review out today, and so I'll have to just come back to this at a later time. But the only disappointment with this game is that it isn't multiplayer. It should have co-op, in my opinion. I mean, Factorio, that has co-op, and it's brilliant. This really could use it, but it's a fantastic single player experience, and to quote the developers, they said it's a fun idea, but it's not on the horizon, I'm afraid. So it doesn't look like we're going to get co-op or multiplayer in this game, which is a big shame, but it would be fun to have that. But that doesn't mean that it's a bad game. It's still an amazing single player experience, and if you want something to get your teeth into, and that's the thing with this, it's a game you can really get your teeth into. It's not a shallow game at all, and you know how I always go on about games that are fucking shallow and we've seen it all before, and this is the opposite. This is why I like PC games. This is the kind of game that is why I love PC games, because they are deep, they are meaningful, they are enjoyable, they are something that you can just bang out the hours with. It's just rimming has never been so much fun, guys. I mean, it just hasn't. So there you go, guys. This is Rimworld, and it is definitely worth buying.